But that doesn't change the reality here. And what he is saying here is objectively true. And I think that it's important for him to say that. It's not even an apology. Let's see what he said.
All right. I never thought I'd make a video like this, but I think there's an important conversation to be had, and I just want to be fully accountable, honest, and transparent with all of you guys. So I'd like to start by thanking every single person who's came out in the past week to speak about different ways in which my behavior has made them feel uncomfortable or pressured during a sexual situation, and to people who said that I've made unwanted advances and had a hard time with rejection. I'm sure this was not easy to do. It's never easy to speak out, and it was hard for me to hear as well, because to be honest with you, up until this point, I didn't even really realize that I had this pattern that had affected multiple people. I'd also like to apologize for my silence. I think that when this stuff first came out, I was in a state of denial and shock. I was, just riding the high from my movie that just came out, and then within 48 hours, I was denounced by my closest collaborators, and my name was printed in 40 different news outlets next to the words sexual misconduct, and I just kind of spiraled into a mental health crisis. I'm okay now, but I don't really think this is about me. This is about the people that I've affected. So I just want to express my complete sympathy, respect, and support for anyone who I've done wrong by. And I really want to do better and be fully accountable for everything that I've done. So that being said, I want to make a few things clear. I've always taken no for an answer. As far as consent, I've never overstepped that line. But I think I want to have a more nuanced and important conversation about power dynamics, pressure, and coercion. Because, like I said, I think for a long time, I was behaving in a way that I actually thought was normal. I thought that, going home from the bar alone made you a loser. I thought that persistence was a form of flattery. And I thought that, if at first somebody was reluctant, they're playing hard to get, just try harder. And if you think someone's feeling you, make a physical advance and see if they go with it. And I think that especially I realized when so many young people, especially young men, rushed to defend me when this stuff first started coming out, that this type of sex pest behavior is normalized. And a lot of people think this stuff is normal when I don't think that it is. And I think that I want to be fully responsible for not having a fluid.
This part is actually, people are saying that he's not like taking accountability. I understand where you're coming from with that. But I do think that this part is actually constructive, considering that he also recognizes his behavior was sex pest behavior. And he's saying that he personally did not understand that he was doing something that is incorrect. Now, you might not take that, and that is understandable. But that doesn't change the reality here. And what he is saying here is objectively true. And I think that it's important for him to say that. I don't know why he did not. I mean, he mentioned the victims immediately and said, thank you for coming out and speaking out about this. Maybe I'm missing the point, but I don't think he actually said anything along the lines of I apologize for the trauma I've caused for you, and I'm working on offering steps of restitution in some meaningful way. I know my words might not mean enough, especially at this point, considering that the harm I've done, but I will do everything in my power to, make it right. Something along those lines would probably have been important to address originally, immediately out of the gates. Because I do think that he recognizes the actions immediately. As far as what I've seen, it seems like he recognizes that he has done a lot of wrong. And even people who have defended him, he says, are not doing the right thing by defending him, because he recognizes that he's in the wrong, which is a good thing overall. But I do believe that he should have directly said, I apologize for my actions, apologize for the trauma I caused. Maybe I missed it, though. I will rewatch it again.
When this thing, a fluid understanding of consent, that I want to be fully responsible for not having a fluid understanding of consent and what enthusiastic two-way consent looks like. That being said, a lot of the things that have been said online about me are not true. A lot of things are missing really important contextual information that I think would change people's interpretation of life.
I think this stuff, now this part is vague. And I don't think vagueness in this circumstance helps Andrew at all. I do think that he should have openly stated, like, there are certain accusations made by, like, third party, friend of a friend, something like that, that are just, like, objectively untrue. And they muddy the waters of the real victims in this situation who I have personally wronged or personally harmed. You know what I mean? Because I think that it was one of the first things that I saw, other than the like I said, firsthand accounts and actual allegations by people directly about how they felt like they were wronged, how they felt like they were assaulted, violated, whether it be their personal space or whether it be their experience with Andrew. When I saw, random fucking TikTok comments being like, oh yeah, he hooked up with young people, I heard from the drummer of a band that was like friends with Andrew or something. And you know how like people that live with their parents, they're all underage 99%. And that's like an insane fucking thing. You know what I mean? That is an insane accusation that does not contribute to the main point of contention here. Okay? And I think that they should not be mentioned at all. Like, they should not have ever been brought up as like a serious pattern of behavior, because there were plenty of examples of people that were recounting their personal experiences that showcase a pattern of behavior, which he seems to recognize as sex pest behavior, which he openly states. He doesn't say directly, but he very clearly says, like, this is sex pest behavior and it should not be defended. And the reason why men defend it overall is because they too do not recognize that it's bad. And this is like a conversation that needs to be had about consent.
A lot of these situations, but I'm not here to invalidate anybody's lived experience. If you feel pressured, that's just what it is. I hope that young people, and young men in particular, can use my mistakes to learn and move through life with a better understanding of consent. As far as what I have planned, I'm not really sure what comes next. I mean, obviously, reporting is my one true love, and I'm 25 years old, and I have my whole life ahead of me. But I really think that I need to do some serious work on myself and figure myself out. So I'm going to start therapy sessions pretty much immediately. Also, not to blame alcohol, but I truly believe that alcohol was a contributing factor to my poor decision making. And I think that alcohol in general has had a devastating impact on my life. So I think I'm going to make the decision to join the 12-step program for Alcoholics Anonymous. And during this journey into sobriety, I want to take a serious step back from public life. And like I said, figure myself out. And I hope that this reaches the ears of anyone who's felt affected by me. I'd love to reach out to you, or you can reach out to me, even just for me to say, I'm sorry. And I really apologize, and I appreciate you all. I also want to apologize to my closest collaborators, my friends, my family, and people who will have to wear this stain on their career forever. You guys don't deserve this, and I love you guys. That being said, if you never want to watch Channel 5 again, I understand. I hope you remember the missions of radical empathy and media literacy that we have tried to put into the world through our coverage. All right, that's all I want to say.
Oh, you can take it out of emote mode. You can't say, I don't know what consent is. Thanks for coming out. Must be tough. That's a bullshit apology. I think he should have. No, he did apologize to the. He did apologize to the girls. He didn't just apologize to his homies, but other girls. But I think the fact that a lot of people are still having a hard time with that is because he did not make that. He did not communicate that clearly. I think that should have been in the first part of it. Like that literally was That literally should have been the first part of it. This conversation should have started off at that point. Other than that, like I think other than that, I don't know. I mean, it's good that he doesn't blame the alcohol, but I think it could have been better left that part out. Yeah, I think it also partially plays into him saying that like he wants to become a better person, and that's another aspect. That's another aspect of like him taking accountability, and that's another aspect of him taking accountability, and also saying that he needs to become a better person. Like an actionable improvement. Yeah. Ultimately, what's the point of making an apology video for the best of your ability when 90% of people are just going to shit on you for it? I mean, if you truly feel like you want to become a better person, like this is the first step. There's nothing else you can do in this circumstance. And for a lot of people that say, you're a lot of people will say, this is not good ultimately. And it's true because his actions are still his actions are still the main point of the main problem. And enough time has not passed since people learned about what he had done, despite the fact that he was an otherwise beloved figure leading up to that moment, which is why, people are not going to, read this with any kind of charitability because like he doesn't have, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done anything to show people that he's different. You know what I mean? People are still learning about the consequences of his actions, his harmful actions. You think people like Andrew should be accepted back into society if they rehabilitate them? Fucking dude, what do you mean? Of course. The fuck are you talking about? Like literally I think everyone can be rehabilitated. That is not like just because I knew Andrew or anything like that. It's just like my constant position always is that rehabilitation is the best path forward, of course. Comparable to the Artemis scandal? Brother, me going to a brothel that was later, a decade later, raided for tax evasion is a little bit different, I think. Don't you think? What the fuck is wrong with your brain? Are you fucking insane? I think he should have differentiated. I'm being as charitable as humanly possible here. I think one thing he should have talked about, one thing he should have definitely talked about was like, not left it vague here when he's talking about like, oh, well, there's a lot of stuff about me that like, if you heard context, it would be different. That is left vague, and I think that does a disservice to if his goal is to ultimately say like, I fucked up, I did something wrong, I did it wrong a lot. Here are the reasons for why I did it. Not that it matters. What matters is like the victims. What matters is the trauma, and then after that, if he said like, there's also additional things that people have said, like third-party accounts, stuff like that are completely irrelevant to the conversation, takes away from the conversation that should be had. I think that would have been better. He should have like very clearly communicated exactly what he was talking about, like exactly what he means is like, what he is saying is like the fake bullshit. But overall, I think it's a decent apology, even though there are it should have had a much better emphasis on the victims and their trauma and his actions and what it caused. But normies will eat this up most likely. I think what he should have done, though, however, I mean, it's decent because stop sending me that fucking Reddit link, dude. Shut the fuck up. You're drama farming, okay? Stop. Literally said he's always taking no for an answer. Yeah, no, that was actually okay. Oh, that was the other part that I wanted to talk about. Actually, you're right. What is it like to have to cover your friend like this, dude? I'm irrelevant in this subject. Okay, there's a reason why I did not talk to Andrew directly, or get any of the Listen, there's a reason why I didn't talk to Andrew directly, because I wanted to be unbiased in this. Okay, because I don't want to fucking center myself in this conversation at all. So the thing that was another part of it that was wrong. You're right. I forgot to mention that. That was when he says I never took no for I always took no for an answer. What he basically is stating when he said, and here Normie Jesus also agreed. So there you go. That's, you're always going to fucking get a better understanding of what normies are going to think about this. But ultimately, it doesn't matter. Look, what he meant is that he's like never raped anyone. I think that's what he's basically trying to state, because all of those stories, like the other accusations that came out, with the exception of the second one, where the second accusation stated that he like grabbed her hand and put it on his like junk and shit. That one is sexual assault. Okay, that is sexual assault. Like that's you're taking someone who's saying no, and getting them to do something that they don't want to do. That's a sexual act. As far as like, I always took no for an answer, what he means, I think, is I assume what he's talking about there is that, like, in all of the accusations, the overarching the overarching, or rather consistent through line, is usually people feeling traumatized by the fact that, like, he kept going and going and going after it and trying to get something out of them, but ultimately not, going into full-blown rape territory. I think that's what he was trying to claim here, but it doesn't matter because it's still sexual assault. He says he always took no for an answer except when the no wasn't hard enough, I guess. Yeah, that's true. Exactly. But I think, yes, when he said missing context, I don't even think he was talking about in relation to the assaults, because that contradicts what he's saying here in the beginning. Well, the video might be lackluster, him taking accountability, making steps, or at least saying he is about as good as you can get right now. There's ways for the victims and him to heal, and this is the first step. I don't think this will, I don't know. I don't know if this will help victims heal. But at this point, I think, like, he could have done a better job talking about, centering the victims in this circumstance, for sure. And I don't think he did it well enough. He didn't communicate it because there was too much vagueness there. And I think that there were numerous other accusations that were coming out as well. So him centering himself and his not his actions necessarily, but more so like the people that he collaborated with or anything like that. Like, I don't think people he collaborated with care as much about being mentioned in this as the, you know, trying to find a way to create a path for restitution. Does that make sense?
Here I am, guys.
No, I've already seen Ethan's take. We already watched it. Why does he deserve a charitable analysis? Is as charitable as possible earlier? I'm always going to give. I always offer charitability. My assessment is skeptical, no matter what happens, but that doesn't change my attitude overall about anyone and everyone that can be rehabilitated. I know that a lot of people do not expect that from me or assume that I'm not that way, especially people who do not agree with my overall takes or have seen fucking clips here and there. But yes, of course. That's not going to change in this circumstance. He further answered some people in the IG post, this Reddit link that is just replied with, not drama farming, it's just further context to his apology. Please don't ban me. As I've said before, in other instances of people doing like genuinely wrong things, harming others, only time will tell if someone is, doing the right things. Thank you to all who have supported me throughout the years. Going to be taking time away and working on myself. Love you all. I hear an apology, and I also hear that what happened wasn't fully true. And also, you want to be accountable and improve. A little fuzzy, clearer description of what you did and how you've harmed people is one way you can be more accountable. I agree with this, by the way. This assessment is correct. It would also, it's pretty much what I said as well. It would also help paint the picture for other men who don't realize what they're doing is harmful. Right. Certain things posted and said online were true and others were not, but there was a lot of stuff said. So rather than unpack specific situations, I'm addressing the behavior pattern altogether. We'll keep this in mind. Do some people just want him to die? Like, what is the end goal of people who are crucifying for at least taking the step towards realization? No apology will ever be perfect, and different people will want different takes out of it. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think some people do want that, especially people who have been harmed by others who have done similar things. Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think a lot of it plays into America's draconian understanding of crime and punishment. It's definitely a cultural norm. That's why even American leftists in general are very aggressive in a lot of instances. I think that it also plays a understandable role in people who have been victimized and traumatized in similar circumstances, wanting something to happen, anything. And they think that this is like getting off easy, just like their own perpetrators got off easy. I think that's what it is. But ultimately, the main points here was that he did not focus on the victims enough. Criticism equals you want me to die. Wait, what? Only says sorry because he got aired out. Yes, of course. Of course that's true. The fuck do you mean? Yeah. You are not pointing out something that is like new or interesting here. Yes. Other men want to defend them because they know that they might have done similar, in my opinion. Well, that's ironically what Andrew is talking about there as well. It just seems like what a child says. You want me to die? No, but like, what do you? I think this is a good opportunity to ask chatters. Well, except for this guy. Take a second off. Calm down. Cool off a little bit. What do chatters think is the right step forward? Because I also do not know. My assumption in a situation like this, okay, or my expectation rather in a situation like this is to center the victims, their accounts, admit to it, cop to it, and then, but again, there's also going to be legal complications in that situation. So I assume that's part of the reason why you can't do that. You know what I mean? But my expectation in that situation is like, I've harmed people. I recognize that. And I want to make sure that I treat them right. And also on top of that, I want to make sure that other men who, much like myself, are misguided as a consequence of rape culture, as a consequence of patriarchy, not recognize that their actions are harmful, just like I did not recognize my actions were harmful, truly harmful and awful. But, you know, super fucking weird if true. Don't send me any TikTok links. I can't click on TikTok links because I'm fucking banned from TikTok. Directly reach out to the victims and offer them a sincere apology and ask if there's anything he can do in terms of material restitution he can do to make it right. I agree. I do agree with that. I think that, well, that's what I was going to say. Other than talking about what he did and centering the conversation around victims and their trauma, there is an opportunity to talk about like what led to his actions. Therapy is good. Time off is good. But also, I think what he should have done, what he should have done once he recognized the impact was basically say, look, I'm going to, so brave to be forced to come out. Wow, it would have actually been brave to come out and admit everything that was done and behind the scenes, say who told the truth and promised something concrete for the victims. I mean, I didn't say it was brave. This is the bare minimum. And many people do not even touch the bare minimum. I don't know what the appropriate punishment is. However, right-wingers only know how to call leftist issues pedo or rapist, essentially waiting for something to happen. No matter what happens now, Andrew will have that label with material evidence of headlines at the very least to back up the claims. That's a very vocal crowd that will follow him around forever. Yeah, exactly. Oh, fuck. I'm a fucking idiot. Can you explain how material restitution helps? I mean, it helps. Therapy bills are one way to do it. I need to find clips of you explaining why you believe in rehabilitation. Okay. Law tip, public defender here. The American understanding of justice hinges on the assumption that the only way to prevent harm is through punishment and violence. I think a pretty fundamental leftist tenet is/should be that there is another way to approach justice that's not just a different kind of violence. Accountability and apology is step one. Step two is to do better. There's no one size fits all formula. Yeah, but when I bring this up in every sort of circumstance, people fucking go absolutely crazy. He fucked up and his apology is not good enough. You can't get upset for people not thinking he did enough. I never did that. Did I do that? Was there any point where I said that? What? I understand why people are upset with his apology. No, I understand why people are upset and don't think that it was good. I do. I get it. I've mentioned as to why. I'm a mobile chatter, move on. What? That's not a good enough excuse. Still think decent is the best word? I mean, all things considered, yes. Because like I said, the first step towards rehabilitation starts with acknowledgement. And I do not think that he acknowledged it to the degree that he was supposed to, or rather his acknowledgement was still vague overall. And I don't know if it's because of like legal reasons or what the fucking reason is, but I think that there were two instances where that acknowledgement should have been in the beginning, like I said, instead of saying like a lot of victims came out and I appreciate them for it, but instead like openly fucking stated, here are some of the accusations that I can point to, and I've seriously wronged these people, and I think that, and I want to take steps in not only bettering myself to ensure that I never do such a thing ever again, but also to help right some of these wrongs. Okay? And the first step is apologizing directly. The other part of it was I always took no for an answer. I think what he should have differentiated in that circumstance was that I did not like what he could have said in that situation, like he kind of briefly alluded to, is that I did not, much like many of the people defending me who shouldn't be defending me at all, I did not recognize that what I was doing was wrong. Okay? And it caused a lot of trauma and a lot of harm, and I should have been better, and I should have taken no for an answer in instances where I did not. And as far as like and as far as not taking no for an answer and being persistent, he mentioned that it was a sex pest behavior, which I agree with. And he should have clarified it further. Saying that his apology isn't good enough is pressure on the victims to not feel resolved. It's not people's apology they accept. Not that the combo isn't important, but the public discussion sounds like they're demanding the victims to take on this huge responsibility. And as far as him like taking steps to better himself, that is that makes sense only after you give a full recognition of the harm you have caused, and not in vague or uncertain terms. But I don't have an issue with people doing that.